We don't have to do, hey, that's the other thing too. We go around trying to do things. We don't have to do it anymore. There's nothing we have to do. The more we try to do it, the worse it gets. The more we try to change things, the more we do it. No, we don't resist it. We become friends with our emotional upsets, with our anger, fear, depression. We can become friends with it and appreciate it, but look at it like a movie. Just say, hey, I'm feeling angry now, but you know what? We said here, if you listen to these cards, it's false. I got to be angry, what? At somebody in my family, or about money, or about situations, or somebody called me a name, or hey, a boss at work yelled at me, somebody cut me off on the highway. It has nothing to do with me, It has to do with them and their thinking. So why am I making it part of my life? Hey, look, the phrase is if you try to figure out a crazy person, you become crazy. So we take it upon ourselves, and then we still, hey, I got another thing I got to tell you. This is it. We try to build up our self-esteem. Self-esteem, hey, this is another one. I'm getting a lot of pushback back, and, people don't want to hear this. That means you want to be better than others. No, we have what's called, when we get spiritual awakening, is humility. We want everybody to do better than us. Bless them. We have a prayer on page 552 in the big book that talks about blessing the other person. The whole thing is about blessing them. Blessing a higher power, What does it mean? And when we do service, all these things, it means getting out of the self. The self is the whole problem. The self is the whole issue, right? That's where the issue is and the problem is. So when we realize the source of our problem, hey, I couldn't figure out the answer until I knew where the problem was, right? It's me. It's me and my thinking. The world has no more power over me. I am free. Right? We're like a puppet on a string. So at the point you can say, all of a sudden something happens and I don't want the world to have power over me. Is that what you want? You want to be a puppet on a string? You want to be a slave, enslaved in the brain? You want to be happy, joyous, and free? The only other thing we get out of that is, hey, when we let people control us, all of a sudden somebody gives a compliment, we have momentary pleasure. We make a few extra dollars, we get a promotion at work. That's momentary pleasure. We're still, look, the more a rich person is successful, the more raises you get, and the more better positions you get at work, the more enslaved you are. Because the ego is saying, oh, I know how to do this better. The same with the food. The more food in our brain, we're always talking about the food here and the resolution to it. It all has to do with the same thing. In our brain, it says, oh, the ego says, that's the way I feel better. That's the answer. But you want to know something? When we get spiritual awakening with the food, our addictions and people, we have such happy, joyous, and freedom. Like I said, you can go to a meeting, any kind of meeting you want to say. And, people always want people to like them there. And some people, they're popular, but one person doesn't like them, they get upset. I always say, how about going to a meeting and think everybody there hates your guts for some reason or another, doesn't want you there, which we think anyway with our crazy thinking, right? So we do that and sit there and just be still and happy. In the midst of a storm, one of the Psalms, they talk about the earth shatters, a valley of death, all of that stuff. We can be happy and joyous, right? We can be free in all these situations around us, outside of us, because the joy comes from here. How crazy are we when we let everything outside of us control us? And like I said, you talk about illnesses and some dying, or, look, this is a situation, our own death, or somebody in our family, something happens in our lives. It's always about us. How am I going to go on because something happened to this person? What am I going to do? What am I going to do if I get this illness? It's always related to the self. The spiritual awakening is getting out of the self. You want to be happy, joyous, and free. Everything you're thinking about right now is not true. It's just not. You're worried about what? Somebody said something to you? Somebody in your family? You're worried about finances? Right? Like, you say, look at the lilies of the field of the birds, look at them, hey, up to now things have been okay. And, it's just, and if it isn't, that's the answer too. When people are ready to go, they go. So here we go. And then a lot of people, it's in the mind, it's a philosophy. A lot of people say the party starts up there, right? They say rest in peace. So it's a perception change even towards their own death. Once we can accept our death, what else is there? Somebody saying, calling us a name, trying to push our buttons. I mean, where are we going with this? Here's one, to thy own self be true. I think it's from Shakespeare, and then he also has a man is what he thinks, or a woman is what they think, It's, it's in the mind. The whole world is created, and that's what I said, surrender to joy, I talked about. How to surrender to joy. It's all about our thinking. Ego and awareness cannot exist. Here's one, boy. This is a good one, right? So either aware or you're not aware of the ego. Oh, here I talked about this before too. Separate your thoughts from yourself observe them. They have a lot of people now, they talk about being in the present. Hey, by the way, I just want to say it's a good thing to be in the present as far as it goes. We also talk about here, a lot of our program is all about that spirituality, having that spiritual awakening, a higher consciousness. So not only, hey, look, not only can I be in the present, but I can also put my faith in, have a partner in life, right? Some guy is going to come along. If I had a business and there was a problem in the business, and all of a sudden there was a customer we had to deal with, or a situation, I had a partner, and he said, look, I'll take care of everything. And I knew he was competent. I could just sit back and relax. If I'm in a limo, I can let the limo driver sit in the back and relax, right? We're trying to drive, and we sit in the back of a car. We're like trying to adjust the brake, and that's the way we run our lives. And we wonder, I say, hey, how come, I'm depressed? It's something with the chemicals in my brain, or maybe the way I was brought up. I don't want to argue with that. And I'm not saying that doesn't have play in it. But I'm saying, look, when you have that perception change, it's all perception. It's perception. Yeah, so whatever happened in the past is the past, right? We can't, we look at the past, we don't glare at it. We can't analyze it, figure it out. I don't know. I'm just saying that. I got to say that, and people don't agree with me. I let it go like a hot coal. I can't sit with it. I can't sit. Look, it's based on the ego. The ego is telling us, hey, I got to be depressed or upset. That's the ego. Look, we got to be reborn. That's the whole thing. Reborn in thinking. Become renewed in faith and outlook on life. Forget everything. They have what's called the set-aside prayer. Forget everything I knew when I came in. Forget everything. And start anew and be reborn in thinking. And put our faith in a higher power, a different consciousness. That's what this program's all about. Okay, here we go. This is you know what? I'm going to go with this now here. This is it. So here we go. This is it. See God in everything. See God in the people around you. When they're acting badly, you think they're trying to get you upset. You say they're toxic. See God in them. They're upset. They say hurt people hurt people. The perception change. If I have a boss at work yelling at me, they're standing there yelling like an idiot, but they're upset because they feel people aren't listening to them. So we can only, have a saying, we can only sit there and smile and say, okay, what did you want me to do? Did you want me to do it this way or that way? It has nothing to do with them. Again, I'm not going to react to a person and bring their craziness into my life. I can only have love and tolerance and patience for them, right? Actually, by reacting to them, we're saying we're more insignificant than they are. That's what we're saying. But when we have that confidence, that God consciousness, I'm not talking about, and I talked about self, building up the self. No, I'm not talking about that. Humility. Humility is strength. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine somebody saying to you, humility is strength? Being humble? Humble people, they have no fear. They want everybody else to do well. They're ready to go, or whatever you want to say. They're not fearful of losing or having anything. If I have it, I don't have it. Humility. And here we go with this one. I'm going to end with this one. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to this meeting, we have, I put it up on Zoom. So anyway, I just want to say that in the description below, we have live meetings, if you listen to this on Zoom, Tuesday and Sunday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. And I have in the chat the information in the description below, the information about the meeting. But the meeting number is 750-763-5506. That's 750-763-5506. At this time, we have no password. But let me end with this one. But anyway, to see the meetings, all you have to do is put my name in YouTube, Bob Rothman. That's Rothman, Bob Rothman, and all the videos will come up from this meeting.